Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Esports Weekly. It's a nice Monday morning here in Skillshot Studios, and we are pretty happy to be going through what is going to be today. First on the docket is going to be, I guess, introductions. My name is Gormizer. And joining me on the desk, as always, is Rain Day and Pretty Hair.
Hola.
How are you boys doing today?
Oh, man, it's a Monday morning. Cool breeze in the air.
A little gloomy out today.
A little gloomy out, yeah. Overcast might be a good word, but you know, it's just got that special feeling that makes me realize that it is Christmas time.
Sure. It's Christmas as far as I guess anyone's concerned.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
It's finally here.
You were experiencing it. You got to experience it. The other day, Katie and I went shopping to try and buy some Halloween decorations because she saw this plant she really liked like a month ago. And I was like, Katie, Halloween's like 2 months away. Don't worry about it. We go in. Not to be found anywhere.
Nothing.
It's completely gone. Everything is Christmas, and it's not even
Halloween's
3
been
weeks
usurped.
away.
Well, you know.
It's been usurped.
It's been usurped. People have realized Christmas is so awesome that they've decided to skip 2 other holidays just to get to it, and I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that.
Well, first things first, we do have the console league to kind of recap. Although there's not too much to recap, you can kind of look at the schedule. Last week, we had 2 teams that did finally qualify themselves for the console wars, and that's going to be the 2 EU teams, Vexed and Flashpoint. But for the most part, everything that you're going to want to find out, in fact, the other 2 teams, the North American teams, is going to be coming up today at 11. You can tune in to the console league to be able to watch that. It's going to be in the pre-show.
That's
we have
right.
a lot to talk about concerning not only players, but the teams, the scenarios they have to be able to win, and of course, just some of the good old fun stuff coming through. Oni-channers, Elevate, Onslaught, as well as Happy Battle Cats, which I believe are Curse These Hands, which is now Team Cryptic.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that you want to keep your eyes on.
That'll be an interesting little swarm in North America. Europe is pretty much handled, but we have a lot of fun games towards the end of the day that'll decide the fate of many a young Paladins console player.
And that's just what we can't wait for.
But yeah, that'll be happening again at 11, so go ahead and tune into that. Pretty much right after the show is done, you just wait a couple minutes. We're going to be going right back live with the console league, so wait for that. But other than that, we also had the PPL last week, and the PPL wasn't, I want to say, as intriguing as it could have been. I think there were a lot of potential for upsets last week that didn't quite come through, although there were some surprising sets like Mouse being able to take Fnatic to 5.
Yeah, it's crazy to just see the continual drop, but like we mentioned a couple of times before, Fnatic trying to make an investment for the future. I think NIP still definitely looking strong, and it's crazy to see them number 2. They took their one little split off to adjust with Diggy Dog, and now they're back full force.
Incredible stuff from that team, and I think the rest of the squad, especially looking at North America, has been settled out pretty evenly as well. I think Splice, SK, and Renegades now just have their own internal things to prove. Everyone's mind is on LAN, although there's still a week to play. So that'll be an interesting thing to see how those players handle this week, considering the fact that they all know they're still going to LAN in some capacity, probably in the same positions, and this week doesn't matter in terms of their actual placements.
So Drop Bodies was someone that was relatively important for the first half of the split because he wasn't around for G2, but ended up becoming relatively important last week because he was finally back. Do you think he came up to snuff? Was he performing the way you expected him to? Or did G2 kind of fall flat of expectations considering they were finally fully reunited?
I thought they made the big thing I thought Bodies was good early on in the week in his first matchup. So I think on Wednesday, I believe is when it happened. But as they got later in the week, when they had that big matchup against Envy, I thought they gave him a little too much. When they went on to, I believe it was Jaguar Falls, and he was here on the Leon. This isn't the Envy game. This is a little earlier. But on Jaguar Falls, I believe they gave him the Androxus, and I think it was just a bit too much of, hey, you carry us, when I would have rather maybe seen Evil Eye on that and Body slide over onto something a little bit stable like a Cassie or a Leon to support him.
Ended up playing a little bit of triple frontline as well, and G2 felt like they just completely broke down in that set against Envy. They didn't really look like themselves. It wasn't a great show. I don't think we've ever seen Bodies play that triple frontline. Not a lot of triple frontline. Even went back when it was like a popular thing, G2 didn't do a ton of it. So we'll have to see if they want to go back to something like that. I think, Bodies is more akin to like a Ruckus.
Also G2 have been really, really rough at, they like doing their own thing to a fault. And we saw Phoenix play that exact style. I mean, remember him on Ascension Peak or Stone Keep, just dashing back and forth, Fortress Breaker shield up. No one could deal with him. He just disrupted the backline. I would have loved to see that on Ice Mines. Bodies goes Slug Shot, totally different play style.
Yeah.
Look at that. It worked. It works the day before. Do it on your games. I'm not sure why they don't go that route.
I think we saw the difference in aggression overall from triple frontline from both of the top teams, but G2, even though they didn't beat Envy, they looked really solid against Renegades. They were even saying, Cuss, I think after the Envy set was just like, that was kind of embarrassing compared to what we were able to do against Renegades. And so they're looking towards the future, and they're still sitting in that number 2 spot. They weren't able to kind of usurp Envy, but they're still going to be comfortable. They're still going to be able to go to LAN. What is it that these top 4 teams, essentially NNA and EU, need to kind of be looking forward to and looking at? Because we've mentioned not going to placement rounds almost kind of feels like a deficit for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely I think, room to be improved, especially for those guys like Fnatic, right, who just make that late roster swap. They need the time. I think they need the reps, and they need to see what they can do, and they need time that's just kind of pressure off them, because I don't think they'll have a lot of pressure on them playing against PGS teams and things like that.
2 things for each region. Europe. The big thing I want to see Europe do is get a little bit more flexible. Europe, when they come in the LAN, have this idea of what's good, and sometimes we see them bite themselves in the foot, so to speak, by just not being available to select something different that they don't consider top in the meta when they jump into this crazy smorgasbord of play that ends up happening when all these teams get together. For the North American guys, I want to see a little bit more consistency. I don't want to see so much of the flexibility. Maybe if you're G2, it works out for you, but I feel like there's a lot to be gleaned from how consistent and how dominant Europe has been in these lands in the past 2-3 years of Paladins' existence, and I think that North America can do their best to kind of glean from that and see if they can add a few of those things so they match up on the draft and don't lose early on in these games.
Here's a fun question that I'm sure we'll probably be able to dive deeper into next week when we finally have everyone exactly where they're going to after this week. But right now, Envy and Na'Vi are sitting up at the top of their regions. And I think at the beginning of the split, we were all saying, like, those 2 are teams that definitely could be able to go forward and win a world championship. Na'Vi for the 2nd time in 1 year, but Envy for the 1st time, I guess, for a big win since Vegas. Do you think if those 2 make it to, like, the finals, like, who would win out of those 2?
Right now, in this moment, I think Envy would win, personally. I think Envy, the thing that's so good about them is that they've got these specialists that still flex really well. Random Noob, a blaster specialist, but he could still flex onto the Cassie. He could still do his thing. And then you have just this beautiful kind of dominant play from Rock Monkey that is so quiet. We never recognize. He's going 4-to-1 KDs. He's having 5 to sometimes 6-to-1 KDs. And Fisheko, Cybate, you look at Creatives, you look at Mudu, they are doing that. I mean, they're playing fantastically, but I think Envy are really, really excellent here. And the one reason I give them the heads up is they draft like Na'Vi. I don't think they lose in the draft, and I like the way that their stars are performing right now.
Yeah, they have a great draft for certain. I would take Na'Vi just because I think they're very close. Like, they're friends, they talk a lot. And so I think for that reason, not that Na'Vi ever really do this, but they wouldn't underestimate them. Yeah. They would, I think, know this team inside and out and then be the better team just at their core.
Yeah.
I think that has potential to be one of the better matchups, but of course, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to see it unless things just happen to go right at HRX, since they're both confirmed for it. They're going to be there no matter what, so it's just whether or not they win the right games, the right time, they end up in the right scenario. I don't know how the bracket for that shakes out.
I mean, if they're both 1 in NA and 1 in EU, chances are they will be as far apart as possible.
It'd probably be only finals
would meet in the finals, yeah, if they both make it all the way there.
It's a long road, though. It's a long road.
Well, it's a longer road for pretty much every other team here. So the rest of the PPL is going for placements. So they have to go up against the PGS teams. They have to be able to go through essentially a week-long LAN to be able to qualify for HRX. So it's going to be, I think, 4 teams from the PPL immediately qualifying to HRX, and then 4 teams from the placements going there as well. But the hardest thing is going to be, you have, what, I think 9 teams coming down from the PGS, plus 6 teams from the PPL. There's a lot of competition to beat out.
There certainly is. Was that a question?
Well, the question, I guess, would be, what exactly do these PPL teams that are losing, I mean, your Fnatics, your Mousesports, like, what do they have to do to get better for
to
LAN?
be relevant?
Like, what is going to make LAN happen for them?
You know, sometimes, listen, you throw somebody into the deep end of a swimming pool and you see if they sink or swim. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to do this with a child or anybody that could sink, most likely, and that you would have irreparable damage done. But as far as the metaphor goes, you throw somebody into the fire, right? You throw somebody into the deep end. Sometimes that's where you see what they're made of. And that's when they come out and they realize that, wow, I had this kind of glowing power inside of me that I hadn't realized yet. That's what these pools are going to do for somebody. I don't know who. I don't think Fnatic should be expecting winning. I think they want to win. I don't know what their mentality is going to be like. And that's the big thing when you come to LAN, how you think and how you operate is really what's going to help you take a loss and get right back on track.
It's kind of a big change for them, right? They're going from being like this undefeated squad, not like a year ago like SK Gaming we talked about. This is the last split and the split before. It's sort of like how they think of themselves now. Are they, because they have a history of being too cocky, and are they going to continue to do that? It'll be more of a stretch for a PGS team to beat them, or even one of these lower-seeded PPL teams at that event. I think Fnatic is the type of team that will benefit the most, and like if somehow G2 got upset, that's another team that I wouldn't be too worried about. But everyone else in there, I'm not so sure.
I mean, it's going to be big for them because, like you said, they always come in cocky.
Virtus Pro can do some stuff.
I mean, as of right now, they've been
that's true.
Kind of beaten up, I'd say, as Fnatic. Like SK, they're finally getting a win. Splice have their one win. North America looks all right.
Yeah.
The rest of Europe, I mean, Virtus Pro's been on the rise, but Fnatic has been in that scenario of you think really highly of yourselves in the past, you always lose LAN, you go undefeated online, and now you're getting beat up by Virtus Pro. Like, you're getting beat up by these teams you should beat. And so it's going to be nice to actually be able to sit down and listen to what Jera has to say about the way Fnatic has been performing and what exactly they expect for the future.
Oh, it's going to be a surprise.
It's going to be a surprise. That's a good way to start this Esports Weekly interview. Jera thinks it's going to be a surprise what I'll ask him, but I think it's pretty straightforward. You added a new member. His name is Unbelievable, and you dropped an old member. His name is Theo. What can you say? We haven't heard from Fnatic about it, really. What has gone on behind closed doors for that switch to take place?
I mean, there's multiple reasons behind it. Basically, Theo wanted to step down. He gave it on himself as well. Like, let's find someone else who can maybe replace or anything. Then you should try out the move, because as you guys all know, this season things not been working out for us. So we're just trying and see how things goes.
Now, Theo wanting to step down, is this something that you at first said, yeah, that makes sense, or was this kind of a shock, something you had to get over, find your way around until you decided on Unbelievable?
The way he said it and how things were going in scrims and everything behind it, it makes sense, at least for inside the team. For outside the team, it's definitely a move people will be surprised on, but inside the team, it made sense.
So now that you're adding Unbelievable and you've committed to that, I've been saying from the second I saw that this wasn't about the split. And in our interview with Mouse Sports, you talked about it's not about the split. This is about LAN. You guys want to win HRX. Do you think that given enough time, given these few weeks where you can practice, you're actually going to be able to make a run at HRX with Unbe fitting into that spot?
Yes, for sure. I definitely hope to see mostly the Grover, the Grog, the Bomb King all returning to LAN, as they've been banned whole split online. So that's been, for us, definitely a hit, but for the teams as well. So that's no excuse. But and with Unbe coming in, Unbe always plays amazingly well on LAN. Like, every time he played with Navi on LAN, he was insanely good. So that's going to make a change for us.
Now, you have a little bit of an experience with Unbe on LAN. In fact, you all lost an epic final, and it was kind of bonkers stealing the show in Game 7 there in the first Worlds, and then Unbe ended up finding his redemption, being able to be on Navi and win that second World Championship, this time putting you on the losing end 2 times in a row. Nick has talked about this, but you could be literally in a position to lose 3 grand finals at HRX in a row. One of the only players, aside from, I believe, and not even Bugsy, because he wasn't there, to be able to have that statement. How are you going to avoid that this year, Garrett?
First is we have to get to the qualifier LAN, then first qualify to the main event itself. That's the first goal. We just do step by step. And if we get to the final, I will do everything I can to win it, because I want to get that ring. There is like a spot here, and we want a ring on it.
Oh, baby. All right. Well, you got to put a ring on it. That's for sure. I think even Beyonce agrees, and we'll have to kind of delve into how that process happens once some of these champions that have been banned now start being played. I know that was a big part of it. Morale as far as the team. I know you guys have lost, but I want to talk about, I thought this loss and this season was actually really important for you guys. A lot of people around the bend have been saying that, man, losing is probably the best thing that could have happened for Fnatic now. Changes are what they needed. Going 8-0 and losing in the finals wouldn't have served you anymore. Do you all internally at Fnatic, to wrap this up, feel that way and that things are headed up, or are these losses a bit demoralizing?
The losses are always demoralizing. Like, nobody likes losing, but for us, I think it's definitely a feeling like we know how to handle losers better. We look at it in a different way now because they come online instead of on the LAN finals where we used to lose only and we win everything else. So it's definitely helping us out in one way. And that's like we take every loss differently and just look at how did we lose and why did the other team win? Was it a draft problem? Was it a problem in our tactic or anything like that?
Well, I guess real just a follow-up question. Do you think it is draft? Do you think it is execution that's slowing you guys down right now?
It's mostly execution, I think. Especially with now Umbi coming in, we just changed a whole lot of things up. Like we changed the drafter. Like I went to main drafter now, basically in the end, and we only started doing that for like 3 days from now on. So
wow,
we have to see how that switches up.
You know, final question. A lot of conversation around Bugsy on Barrack, Bugsy on Inara, Bugsy on these tanks where usually, you know, it's okay to see a great player, but when you talk about a guy who can carry a game on literally anything that he's picked up, especially when you don't have these performances coming through so consistently from Bittner and Fisheko, as sometimes they do, how do you feel about Bugsy on these frontline takes that maybe limit, a good word to say it, some of his potential to carry and take over a match?
I think putting Bugsy on main tank, it makes a lot more space for the team because he is super consistent on being a main tank, I feel. And I think since we put him on main tank, or even sometimes now he still switches back in the third DPS comp back to DPS, I think it's helping us out a lot again. Like he's so consistent on tanks compared to anyone else in the scene, I think, right now. And I think that's really good for us.
All right, well, that means you're giving room for people to succeed. Also means that they have more room to fail as well. What will happen in HRX? Not quite sure, but we're excited to find out. Jared, thanks so much for joining us for Esports Weekly, man. We wish you the best in the LAN run. Don't want to see you guys crying outside anymore. And, of course, we will see you in Atlanta for the qualifiers very soon.
All right, thanks. See you there.
See ya.
As much as I understand having Bugsy be like a frontline for you, I don't know what his comms are like,
Yeah,
so I'm
do you
assuming
buy
they know
that?
it best.
Do you buy that?
I
Both
love
of you.
watching him play damage so much more that it kind of hurts knowing that the team feels more comfortable with him there.
I think it goes to show how important that front line can be and how consistently important that could be. And if he's the guy for the job, I guess he's the guy for the job.
To me, that sounded like the right answer for a media outlet. I don't know if I truly feel that way. I think that's what they got, so that's what they're going to go for, because who's going to do it? Fish? Bittner? Like, who's gonna jump on there, right? So Bugsy's got to do it. So it's not like, I think it's like, well, we feel really happy, but you know they're like, man, you know, some trade's going to be made in the offseason. I don't know if that means that's the case for Fnatic. I'm just comparing it to, is this truly his true vision of what perfection in Paladins is like? Bugsy on Inara? I don't think so.
Maybe they're just done trying to force 3 DPS. They need to make some type of compositional adjustment.
Well, this is the last week to be able to do so online, at least for them. PPL's coming to week 5, the last week that we have for the split.
Yeah.
And then they have a bunch of time to try and practice up, I guess, until the LAN. They only have one matchup this week. That's against Virtus Pro. But the rest of the week, looking pretty interesting. I think there's a couple of matches in there that are going to be gyms, whereas everything else is like, can Mousesports get a win? Like, Virtus Pro is probably going to be their best bet.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think, you know, when you talk about those games, it might be like a trap game kind of thing, Gore. I think Virtus Pro, Mousesports, that's that one where you got to be careful. Virtus Pro are on a nice little streak. I think Mousesports have a chance if they're going to do it in this game for sure this week, because it ain't against Fnatic, let's put it that way. And I think Perdo is really one of those key points where you're going to have to look at, does he sway the tide? I think he's a player that can sway the tide, but will he? That's what I think Virtus Pro are waiting for him, the consistency in that type of performance.
Yeah, when you got Mouse taking Fnatic to 5 last week, if VP can just beat them, that means that this VP Fnatic matchup could actually be a really, really good one. I hope we get at least 5 games, no matter which way it goes. I think it would obviously be more exciting to see Virtus Pro end up taking that one. We'll have to see how much Fnatic has been able to improve in just a short little week.
Both can kind of get it, right? I mean, you never know, but my money's on Virtus Pro today.
I mean, Virtus Pro so far have been becoming monsters, I think is the best way to describe it, where it's just like you see NIP being able to usurp Fnatic, take that number 2 spot. You see Virtus Pro, I think, looking for that number 3. Like, it's just moving the point of contention down. It was at 1 and 2, and it was at 2 and 3. Now it's maybe 3 and 4. Mouse is still trying to get their name in there as far as things have gone, but that's important for them to at least be able to say, well, we took Fnatic to Game 5. We might be able to take Virtus Pro to Game 5.
Right.
maybe this is the team we can beat.
Yeah.
But we also have the match of the week overall, something that I think is one that is going to be the most interesting. I think it's actually the exact same day as well. So one game where we have no clue how it's going to go, another game where we have no clue how it's going to go, but different sides of the spectrum overall. Na'Vi and NIP. Right now, Na'Vi is phenomenal. They're the ones that are obviously the team to take down in Europe, but NIP has just been clawing their way up, and it has looked like a steady climb. Nothing too difficult for them, but Na'Vi is going to be that mountain to really hurdle. What
a phenomenal test and a phenomenal opportunity to be able to go against the best right now, who's doing it in Paladins, and test what you've done as a squad. I think Diggy Dog is going to have a big, big day. He has to. This is kind of, for him, I think, going to be everything that I've done, traveling from Australia, being away from my family and my friends, doing this for real. This is, I think, something that he's going to put the energy in his back pocket and say that this is what makes it worth it or not. Can I be a top competitor? He came here to win Worlds, not just to compete.
I'll be curious to see what Na'Vi do on a day like today as well, because they started to pull out a couple of new things, right? We saw a bunch of like triple front line from them. We saw a bunch of just wackier stuff that feels like we're already clinched. We're already going. We're going to start working on all of our bag of tricks here, things that we are going to need to win this world tournament. And how confident they feel about this NIP matchup, to the point where, are they going to do stuff like that? Do they even care if they win or lose this matchup?
Right.
I think it's a lot coming down to Na'Vi's mentality, and we always talked about how NIP have a lot to play for. They want to win these games. They will be trying as hard as they possibly can. And obviously I think we can expect a good show from Na'Vi, but I'm wondering if they're looking at the future or they're looking really at this matchup right now.
My big thought here is really going to be how Bird helps this team draft, how much Diggy has a part in the draft. I don't know what he played in that in the Kanga roster, but Bird has notably done some things to try and get ahead in the draft, and sometimes that works. I've seen it fail the most against top teams. And that's the thing. He's great against everyone else except the top team that NIP is trying to go against. Sometimes they get caught off guard, and I'd love them to just have even matchups heading into this, no hokey dokes, and just put it to the test. See who punches who.
Well, that one's going to be good. Either team that wins, I think, is going to be happy. Obviously, if NIP can come through and be the only team that can take down Na'Vi, they at least have that to spout about. But otherwise, I'm expecting a relatively strong set, good set, although, like you said, I think drafting is going to play an important role.
Super quick follow-up question. If NIP beat Na'Vi, do you think they can win Worlds?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I would give that to them. I mean, you can take down the top team in Europe who has won every single international LAN online, or every international LAN.
You know, at the start of the split, I think we both kind of picked NIP to be like that, like
secondary.
Probably could do it, even though they're like, you know, third place right now. But now they're second place, right? So it's becoming a little bit more real, and it's a little bit less of a long shot nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's the world champs, man. That is the big roadblock. That's the final boss at the end of the tunnel.
Woo.
Be a good win, but it's not a must-win.
Mythic
overall.
Plus, huh?
Yeah, dude.
A lot of things that are going down this week, and I think one of the more interesting matchups, all of them happen to fall in Europe, but it's going to be VP and Fnatic, because as of right now, that's your 3 and 4. It's similar to what you're seeing with VP Mouse, because VP is in that perfect area where it's just like you don't know what Mouse is going to show up and what Fnatic is going to show up. But Virtus Pro
had to happen.
Are looking pretty good.
Man, they sure are.
We talked a little bit about Virtus. I think Fnatic and Virtus Pro need to just duke it out. It's like two brothers who haven't figured out who's the dominant brother yet. You just need to punch each other, wrestle, fight, and just be like, at the end of the day, exhausted, and both go, you know, grab a drink or go, you know, hang out, watch a TV show afterwards and say that happened. We just need to get the energy off the table. They both have subpar seasons, not what they wanted, new rosters and old rosters. Some success, some mid-level play, and I think today it's just going to be a brawl. Nothing really matters for, I think, too much of the seeding there. They're all going to be the two good teams in the qualifiers.
Right, because the map differential is too big between them and Fnatic, I think, at this point. That was what I was going to say. It should be most of the fuel is to force that tie with NIP and maybe make it come down to maps, but you know, with the way that last week went, that possibility is starting to dwindle.
And it will be all the D69 boys back together again, essentially fighting one another on different teams. So it's even more of the big brother little brother type thing, because they were family for a long time in Paladins.
So Tuesday, Mouse Virtus Pro and a Na'Vi NIP, I think, is going to be a very, very big one. But Fnatic admittedly need to win that one, just because at this point, I mean, you have to prove you're Fnatic. Like, I mean, what has happened if you lose to Virtus Pro now with the way things have gone? Although it was the fall split last year that Virtus Pro kind of took off. They haven't taken off this year, but
Virtus Pro have never beaten Fnatic in a split until this, well, potentially this season. They were the ones who weren't able to beat Fnatic, and that's what really allowed Fnatic to stay up top. Virtus Pro took a win off Na'Vi and NIP both season.
It's going to be a fantastic week, I think, for Week 5 of the PPL. But we have a meme video once again for you. And just based on the name of this one, I know at least one of the clips, Gun Sounds.
Gun Sounds.
So I happen to remember a cast me and you had where it was some stellar Vivian play-by-play. So I'm really I'm excited to see what happens with this one.
I apologize in advance.
All right.
Delivered directly to you during the PGS is Automata Reign. Our reigning supreme, although not exactly in percentage just yet, at least in kills.
Here's my best Vivian play-by-play casting.
Oh, you know what we need
I've been working really hard on that.
We need a loop so you can do that, but then as well,
boo, boo, boo. For the signals. Multi-track recording. Here, I'll do the bubs and you can do the sentinels. High quality play-by-play casting coming out of the booth here. You know, Fish and Tenor aren't OG pit players. They learned it because they had to, I think, and they're not going to be pulling it out, I don't think, if they don't absolutely have to.
Do a barrel roll.
What's that?
No, I think Cassie is great at what she does. Leon is great at what she does. Everyone's great. Everyone gets a gold star and a trophy and a juice box and a snack. Struggle for survival.
Life is a butt of metaphors.
It's a butt of metaphors.
That's a metaphor in itself. Think about it.
Life's a bunch of butts and some metaphors, maybe. I don't know, along the way. Maybe, kind of.
Maybe a simile. I don't know. Life is like a butt. I'm not going to go there. 2 minutes.
I'm trying to go there,
I
but
tried, but
I can't find a way.
I can't find a great way to do it.
Something about you crack something. I don't know.
Life's like an egg, you know.
Right. Look at the crack or focus on the cheeks. Some guys are, I don't know.
I don't know. Here it is. What's it going to get? Oh, and Vogel's just watching him, and I've stepped on my Cheez-Its. Oh, no. 99% for SK Gaming. I think the victory, the set, and I'm not eating my Cheez-Its.
No game 5. Dude, I think you actually made it a trash can. Trash can back of the room, over this TV, over a camera, through light poles as well. I don't even know if you banked it. The bank
I'm available
is open.
for question anytime.
Cash money. LeBron and LeBron Jr. the Lake.
It's a hell of a shot to make, honestly.
Hell of a shot.
There's a lot of stuff between us and where that trash can is.
Couldn't try it 100 more times and get it, but the fact that I wasn't trying at all and just did it,
yeah, you can't even see the trash can.
That's what had to make it go.
We just never saw it hit the floor behind the TV.
We had that moment I threw it, everyone's just like, where's the floor sound? Wait a second, did it? I love that. Good job, Joe. A Joe Bro joint.
I feel like that one
By
was
the way, let's
very...
give a shout out. Joe's YouTube channel is pretty funny. You can see all his memes that he's done in the past. He posted them. I think it's like Joe Bro.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's Joe Bro.
Pretty funny. Check it out if you're ever like want more of that.
All of the Smite memes as well. It's the Joe Bro. So the Joe Bro on YouTube has all the Smite memes, the Paladins memes. I think he's re-uploading them. There was some there was a period of time that they weren't getting put there, and I was kind of sad because that's when I like to watch them. Like I go home after this and I watch them just like isolated. Like this is the video. This is like full focus time. I get to experience all of it.
That's a funny one.
Yeah. That one was fully fueled by the PGS. Like that was like you could put a little like star.
You know what? Here's the thing. That was all Friday. Okay, and I don't want to hear a dang thing about any other day saying we don't take something seriously or we don't do. We are the same Monday through Friday. You just only watch on Monday.
We're just idiots all the time. That's what you got to understand.
If you think we're only idiots on Wednesday, that means you only watch on Wednesday. Because if you watch Thursday, we'd be the same idiots that day too. That's how it goes.
I'm trying to think of a good transition, but I guess these guys aren't idiots. Top plays. Yeah, we have top plays. We have 3 of them,
That's a
as
good
we do every
transition.
single week. And number 3 is actually not anything, I want to say, exaggerating like we typically have triple kills, quadra kills. This is just Phoenix looking really good on Ashe.
Man, I want to see that stone keep play, man. Oh, great stuff. 600 damage. People forgot that got buffed.
He's
Oh, this
such
read, yeah, that was sick.
clean tracking.
Knocked her up. No way she dies to that.
No.
Still, though, did the job.
That's why he's number 3.
That's what I
That's
said.
why he's number 3.
Get
If he had
owned.
gotten that kill, that could have been number 1.
Could have been.
Unfortunately, he got beat out. Creatives was able to find a triple kill this week, and it looked phenomenal.
Leon?
Overall, Leon just looks phenomenal. So how would you have guessed? He only plays like, what, 3 champions?
Because Grace and Valor and Enlightenment guarantee multiple kills. But this is actually one I really like because I think he hit presence a couple times, and that was a beautiful Enlightenment. That's a solid, not one auto click kill for that triple. Props.
Almost was able to turn into a quadra at the end there, too. But one of his teammates, I don't know who because I didn't see it, but
probably
one of them
Spunky.
takes him away.
Gotta run precision if you want to keep on firing.
But Mouse, even though we have been giving them a lot of trouble because they're sitting at the bottom, they haven't found a win, they at least get a top play.
No.
They get a number 1. Overall, this quadra kill meant literally nothing in the game, but it looked damn good.
Damn good doing it.
That's what you want. Just everyone like standing in front of your Hexafire.
This was, maybe this is why Fnatic got taken to 5. They just disrespected Mouse to the point where they're like, we can, this Hexafire,
Oh God, it does a lot of damage.
it's not at the top of my priority list right now. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's
By the
just
way,
this
what'd you have for
one's-
breakfast? Oh no!
So it depends, I guess, on which side you're looking at that. Like, it's a top play for Mouse with kind of a big fail for Fnatic overall. But the actual fail, I believe, is actually going to be coming from the console scene, if I'm remembering correctly, at least this player.
Ooh, got him.
But it's Yui, who dashes right into a Pyre Strike.
Ooh, kill him.
That is probably the most unfortunate timing you could have to dash up there.
Yeah. Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Watch your head. Well, I feel like that's a little better than some of the Ashe plays we've seen where people just dash off the map.
I would imagine there was 2, Cassie and Leon both dashed off the map in that spot. Personally,
That's a spot where
I
you,
would've given
you
it
want
to
to be
them.
careful.
Creatives and Fish just side by side splice those clips on top of each other and just at the same time they both go off.
Frog Isle is a very deadly map.
Dude,
People
that little
don't understand it.
staircase, I don't know what it is. You know, it's like that little baby ramp to get up there, that Ashe that dashed up there,
Oh, it
and
will
she just
fling you,
nitro
dude.
circused off the map. Like, I don't know.
Nitro Circus.
But we also have our meta discussion. So far, it's been kind of buy or sell.
Yeah.
Has been the theme for this split.
Stock traders.
And
yeah,
now
we're
we actually have
trading.
a bunch of pickups that aren't picked up as often, but they've performed well, or they haven't been picked up at all. The first one on the docket is Sky, who has been
Ooh.
played and I believe has won her matches that have been picked up through the PGS and the
Who
PPL.
won with her?
It was the PGS team. I want to say Ferocity.
I can't remember anyone winning with her.
Oh my God! Look at me, dude.
Kerfluffle.
Look
Clap,
at me.
dude. Clap in the chat.
And he ran Debilitate, so I'm going to start because I also play a little Sky this week as well off of the inspiration here. I'm going to buy. I think Sky, we already have seen her in random times at LAN. I don't know if we'll see her prioritized at all, but she has a couple of things that allow her to duel decently well. And usually we see the hidden, the movement speed. There are no cards being taken for hidden at all. No movement speed, no nothing. Sky's playing like a mid-range almost support to deny front lines the ability to stay active on the objective and to force healing back quickly. But with the Crepify, the 75% anti-heal, the frequency with Poisoner giving you 4 seconds off to up to 5 seconds on your cooldown for your poison bolts, you pretty much have it all the time. And Confound is a card that I think could play a lot in Smoke and Dagger builds, but I don't know if people are going to really reach that far. I think Debilitate's still good for the high level.
She's always had like avenues of success, right? It's like how you have like your consistent Andrew build, and then you have your high risk, high reward Andrew build. It's like all of Sky's build are just high risk, high reward. It's like you either kill everyone and get like all your cooldowns back, and you can't press your buttons fast enough,
Right.
Or like you don't get any kills and then you press your buttons and nothing happens and you die.
And you know, the other thing too is Havens and Blast Shields, especially if you have a Jogos or if you have somebody else who's like a Leon or a Cassie, they're becoming more of a big deal. We're seeing them prioritize sometimes over the cauterized records, depending on what you have. Death and Taxes Leons, for instance. I'm curious to see if Skies are relevant. They force Illuminate pickups, or they just play this really safe Sky, and you're like, well, damned if I do, damned if I don't.
I mean, if triple frontline continues getting picked up, I feel like Skye is one of those champions that can slowly start to rise. 30% damage is pretty solid overall in being able to deal with people. And another champion that I really want to see rise up, this one has no reason other than I just miss watching him, is Shaolin, because a lot of it was just, if you have good aim, he looks really good.
Skye, by the way. I think you were kind of saying a positive, negative.
I'm not going to buy Skye.
All right, so he's selling. He's selling. I'll buy all that.
Okay.
Price drop. Take it.
But Shaolin, recurve has been the thing that I think I've seen more people running a little bit more recently.
Yeah.
But he has been missing. No one really wants to play him. He used to get picked up all the time. He was first pick for a while there. Rock Monkey has a good one. Creatives has a good one. But no one is playing Shaolin. Is that you need to sell everything about Shaolin? You don't want anything to do with him anymore? Or do you buy now because no one's picking him?
I'm going to buy him, and then I'm going to use my insider influence to get the ult change reverted, because I don't think he needed that at all. I think he got double nerf. I think it was both the Desert Shadow stealth duration and then that ult change, which basically he's revealed for half a second every time he shoots. I think that either needs to be cut in half or reverted entirely.
I think recurve Shaolin is one of the... You're going to make a lot of money on this. I think if you are going to be a stock market tradesman right now, that or broker, that is a guaranteed pick. We will see it land. I guarantee it. And the thing is, there's so many easy ways for him to get his damage up. Every single person who's prioritized or played, you look at Furia and Inflame, 8 seconds for 1,300 damage, plus now with 30% more, 45% extra attack speed with recurve.
Jeez.
I'll take it. Plus, you look at Torvald, who's banned. Khan, 20%. That's 1,200 an arrow. The Luminary Generals comes out for just a moment, right? And you've got 1,150 per shot. Shaolin is one of those guys that's been too forgotten. He's in Rock Monkey's pool. He's in Creative's pool.
He's in a lot of people's
He's in
pools,
Bonker's pool. We will see Shaolin at LAN.
I actually will give shoutouts because the reason recurve is the one talent that stuck on my mind is because Trident, I think it was Daddy DLS was the player for them who ended up taking Kinga, and they beat them on Serpent Beach using this. And it's the first time Shaolin had come through like in 3-4 weeks on a split on a team that was actually winning with them. And so a lot of credit to that. And like you said, I think it's going to be seen a lot more often.
Yeah, they just
because
need time.
It's viable.
They need time to like figure out what build they're running with it and all that stuff. But I think that's going to show up.
In all of the games we've had a plethora of supports, right? Not a lot of variety comes through in the top 3. You usually see Furia, Maldamba, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Some people reach a little further in their pocket. We've seen a couple pips come through. But Saris is not usually a PC pickup. She's very big on console, but not usually big when it comes to actually playing with a keyboard and mouse. And we've seen her not have too much success on keyboard and mouse, but on console she does a lot. So this is a really kind of dual-sided, do you buy or sell her when you know she's only good in really like one area?
I'm going to go sell for Saris. I think she had a little bit of a rise. I don't think any of our PC players at this point in time are really willing to risk their championship hopes on trying to do something funky with Saris like we've seen with that like dual DPS support, right? Where you take one and then her. I'm not expecting to see her.
Spunky might run it. Personally, I'm going to sell this. There's too many good supports, and they don't see bans at all. She'll never. She's like 4th.
Unless
priority.
you see a weird support ban thing go on.
Here's the fun one of the day.
Okay.
The other 3 we've seen. They've been picked up. They've been played competitively, whether it's in the PGS or the PPL. You've at least had a good game with them. Lex has not been played as far as I can remember in the PGS this split, maybe once, if at all. And
he got picked up.
Is he worth it? Is he someone to look at, or do you just don't even pick him up?
It really sucks because Lex is fun and good, and he just is not better than anyone else that you would pick up instead that's available. I mean, you're going to basically pick up Lex to be relevant, like a Talus kind of position, and if you're getting Talus, that means you probably don't have Androxus, right? Which means that you're going 3 tiers deep to get the flanker that you kind of don't really want, and at that point, people just decide, let's just get a second tank, or let's just get, another damage dealer, or whatever that is, and I think that's, unfortunately, where our drafts have been. I don't expect to see Lex.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Lex, like when he was picked, like what you could do with him. He got a small accuracy buff in terms of like when his shots start to spread and how nasty it gets. What he brings, I think, is that that big fat ultimate and a ton of damage, but the characters you want to be executing are often those front lines, and almost I think every front line in the game has a way to block it, right? So we very rarely see it actually get off.
A lot that might actually work out for him. If triple frontline keeps going, he's one of the ones that usually was all right in that meta, but even then, all right's usually not enough to really do it for the competitive team. So probably getting left behind, unfortunately.
Maybe
I feel
a
like
weird Torvald Lex thing, but again,
he's the only champion.
it's really
I'm going to buy him just because I'm selling everything
you're
else.
selling everything else. I think
I got enough money left over, I guess.
Yeah, but you got no investment right now, man. So hopefully, some of these go up and I become a billionaire.
Well, if you are investing in anything, there are a couple PGS teams that are good investments, a couple PGS teams that might not have actually made the cut that you would have been surprised. We had our last week of PGS last week, and
I'm buying free agent boys, guys. They're making a run.
Yeah. They're not
You're going to regret
Can I take that
saying
back?
that.
Oh, no.
They are not going to be at LAN. So Hecate
Really
and the
big
boys, a lot of the guys that we've seen, I mean, 4 out of 5 members of that team made it to semifinals, only lost to Navi, and I think we can all agree, I think a lot of people agree on the fact that if they win that last map on Splitstone Quarry, then they're the world champions. Like, it's not Fnatic. Fnatic did not look good on finals day. That would have been a LATAM World Championship.
That would have been... it's unfortunate. It really is the ending of an era. It's something that has been dominant for 2 years, and I mean, such great players, such great guys. It's sad to see them go that way. They are all separating and spreading their ways. We've seen Twitlongers from nearly every single person on that team. I am curious if any of them will become a sub, a coach, will get picked up for the EggCharX slot in terms of what Zaga can offer, and maybe just a little experience because they've been there before and Zaga haven't. That could be a valuable reason to pick up one of them. But what's the future of, I think, Paladins and LATAM without Hecate?
Well, I think a big part of it was actually that relationship between, the Nocturnes, Burritos, those boys, and SSG, right? They were the scrim partners. They were the only real competition down there. So I don't know what the relationship is between Zaga and SSG. I don't realistically know how ready the Zaga talent team is going to be for LAN. I have no idea what to expect from them.
Well, I mean, overall, we've seen, I think, Sadak, I have seen Pule make Twitlonger saying, like, we're looking for a team, whether it's as a pair or if it's just separate. I don't think they really care at this point. I haven't seen a word from Crimson. I haven't seen anything from Hecate. I'm curious where he falls.
Well, it's default. It's default. If you lose, basically 3 people.
If you lose 2 members already.
You don't have a team anymore. You're playing basketball with 5, by yourself. And
I don't need them.
If you decide to leave or not, it doesn't matter. Nobody's playing with you. So that team is no more. We'll see.
I know we've talked in the past about like import players, specifically Diggy Dog being like the big, I think, start to what could be looking at someone like Hecate and teams potentially buying them. Do you think like a PPL team at this point would be able to invest
Fnatic
that? Like,
should get one of those front lines.
It's very difficult, but I mean,
they should scoop Pule or Sadak, I think.
I mean, and I think you look at Renegades, because I mean, South America, North America, a little bit of an easier transition than from South America to Europe, and I think, Renegades, Splice. You look at,
I would love to see those two stick together and just go to a PPL team or something. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I mean, look at what Rockbucky and Rubu can do when they rotate over to Team Envy. I mean, Envy has a good amount of pieces, and then those two come in, and it starts to look pretty unstoppable. You take 2 really good guys, that's 40% of a squad in the PPL. That's enough to get the job done and start becoming a top-tier team.
Well, because they weren't able to make it, our eyes are kind of having to move elsewhere for the LAN, who can cause upsets, who can have a lot of potential. And so a team that we are all having our hopes on is SSG, which we had last LAN, but it's specifically FRZ God. Whether he's there or not is a big question.
Yeah.
But if he is, I don't think anyone is going to question the fact that SSG is a force to be reckoned with.
He's going. He's definitely going, I think, at this point. He made it. He was there at the end qualifying. This is going to be exciting, man. I wonder if he's going to show up because, admittedly, Nick, I think in the summer, spring was interesting, but in the summer I feel like they were it was a little disappointing for when they showed up. We expected more.
Summer was when they were missing their coach when they came through.
Exactly.
And that was their drafts really fell apart. Everything, like their play style was still good, but you could tell that something was amiss.
Yeah. So I wonder if that'll get fixed, if that will be the same case. We know FRZ God has the talent. We know these guys mechanically can
call him on, I don't know, call him on Discord or whatever you got to do during the draft. Like,
seriously.
There are ways around that, I think.
Yeah, there are ways, man. I don't know if that's allowed in that little room.
In the booth.
In that little booth. They shut it down.
I'm going to say I think my other team to watch, because SSG I think has the most chance, mine is our on Zaga, because if they're able to beat what was Free Agent Boys, if they're a team that is now coming to land, like, they're kind of the wild card. Everyone knows what to expect out of Kanga, the NA, EU, PGS teams, all 4 of them. So they're the only ones that are like, what are they going to play? How are they going to draft? Like, what are they on land?
Extra Mini's on that team, right?
Yes.
Woo! That boy is bad, man. I got, of course, trying to record some stupid gameplay, and I got matched up against this guy. And I'm telling you, they had 5 damage dealers, and we didn't touch them. I mean, we had a full regular team, man. It's doing 20-0 on EV, just unstoppable. Now, not the best Andro matchup as far as I wasn't running heads will roll, so I couldn't one-shot him. But like, still, man, he's a beast. And so I think they are some real good players. If they beat, Hagate and those boys, they are the real deal.
They were first picking Leon for Akate. They were trying to get the veteran where he was comfortable, but I mean, Extra Mini every game he was like 9-0 in that set. He was insane, and he played a bunch of different characters doing it.
But that's all either in the past or in the future, depending on where you're looking at a PGS or placement rounds. As of right now, the broadcast schedule for this week is a little lighter. The PGS is not going to be there, so we have PCL today, as well as the PPL Tuesday through Friday. But a lot, I want to say, lighter of a week overall in terms of content. You still get your Paladins fix every day, but maybe just not quite as much as you're used to.
Just the big boys.
Just the big boys. That's right.
But we do have console coming up in just a few minutes. Actually, if I'm looking at the time, about 14 minutes or so. We'll be going live at 11 to be able to come in and bring you the pre-show for what will be 8 sets. Again, 2 teams still need to be decided in North America for them to be able to go to LAN. But with that, do you have any final thoughts for this week and the way esports is going?
Definitely come and watch a lot of these European games. These are the ones that are going to matter this week.
Really excited to see the end of what was a tremendous 5-6 weeks for all of these players. They put their hearts and souls into Paladins, and it's great to be able to guide them along the way. Really happy to see their productivity.
Well, thank you everyone who has tuned into this episode of Esports Weekly. Again, right after this, going live with the PCL, the last week of the PCL for the split, as well as the last week of the PPL for the split. So this week, you definitely want to get your fix in, because next week we will only have 1 episode of Esports Weekly on Monday, and otherwise it's going to be devoid, I think, of most Paladins content. So you can tune in this week or miss out. But we'll talk to you in just a little bit as we go live with the Paladins Console League.
Stick together.